Welcome, everybody. My name is Emily Smart, and I am the Filmmaker Liaison for Filmmaker Success. And this is where we make movies, make money, and we make the world a better place. Welcome to Film Fundraising, Catapulting Your Film from Script to the Big Screen. Tonight, you will meet Joanne Butcher, the Film Vision Alchemist. She's a film business and fundraising coach with over 180 films and series in various stages of development from script to distribution. With a wealth of experience in fundraising and distribution, Joanne has a proven track record of facilitating the sale of numerous feature films and participating in the distribution of 25 features. As an expert in fundraising, Joanne has supported her clients through various channels, including major donors, grants, foundations, corporate sponsorships, and over 50 successful crowdfunding campaigns. She's also a published author with the book Getting Your Film Funded, Produced, and Distributed Globally. This book gives you the tools to make your film a success through Joanne's experience working with her clients and the steps she takes them through. Her involvement with organizations such as Brown Girls Doc Mafia, Sisters in Cinema, Third Horizon Film Festival, Slam Dance, the Brazilian Film Festival in Miami, and the Trinidad and Tobago Film Festival have made her an integral part of the film community. As the founder of Unstoppable, a disability film festival, and a frequent judge at the Forever Foundation, Joanne has been dedicated to mentoring and developing the careers of the young and not so young creatives. Joanne also serves on the board of Kashi Church Foundation. Joanne's experience extends beyond fundraising and distribution, as she has directed a first-run cinema and a film school in Miami Beach, Florida, where she created the Florida Feature Film Competition. The competition provided filmmakers with a platform to up-level their business and marketing packages while competing for a $200,000 prize. Joanne's specialty lies in helping filmmakers raise funds to get the projects made and distributed globally. Her extensive network and expertise in the film industry make her the go-to consultant for independent filmmakers seeking support with fundraising and distribution. We will be going to about 7:45 Eastern this evening. Joanne doesn't keep track of the chat, so please, if you have a question, raise your hand and she will call on you. Make sure you come on camera because she likes to see who she's talking to. And additionally, make sure that you have your name in your Zoom box so she can call you by your appropriate name rather than iPhone or 2728 or whatever you've logged on as. And without further ado, here is Joanne.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much, Emily.
You're muted.
I am? Am I still muted?
No, I can hear you. We can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much, Emily. Thank you, Innocent. I forgot that we now said that I'm on the board of Kashi Church Foundation, and I'm at Kashi right now. So that's Kashi out of the windows. It's a very beautiful place. And thank you for playing my favorite song, my favorite soca from Trinidad and Tobago. I was doing a little Zumba before the class to get ready. And I love to play that song. And it's from Trinidad and Tobago. I'm half Trinidadian, and the chorus is "Let's go make a movie." And so I really love that song. And there's only one thing I like more than making a movie, and that's making two. So I get to make a lot of movies with my clients. And recently, it feels as though I'm making a lot more movies with my clients because it's just sort of speeding up, I guess. So that's really exciting. So welcome everybody. For those of you who have not met me before, I've started calling myself the Film Vision Alchemist because what I've found is that when we put a filmmaker together with all their creativity, I always say filmmakers have creativity dripping from their fingers. When we take all that creativity and we put it together with some business information, some knowledge about the industry and the way the industry works, when we put all that together, movies get made. And so I feel as though it looks like magic sometimes. And so alchemy is what I think happens when we put creativity with business and we produce movies. So tonight I have a couple of questions that I want to start with everybody. I'm going to just change my screen so I can see more people. How do I do? Oh, here it is. So how many people have already made one short film? Oh my goodness, Deborah, you're here from Japan. Oh, I'm so excited. I think, is anyone further away from the East Coast of the US than Japan? Hi, Deborah. How nice to
Good
see
morning. This is my morning. I woke up especially for this,
you.
okay?
Thank you so
I
much.
worked until 2 o'clock last night. It is
My gosh. Do we have anyone who's further away from the East Coast of Florida than Japan? Okay. You win the prize, Deborah, for being the furthest away, all the way from Japan. Thank you. Thank you for being here. All right.
I'm very good at coordinating here. Yes.
How many of you have made at least one short film? Let's see some more hands. Come on, camera. Come on, camera, guys. At least one short film. All right. How many of you may have made more than one short film? Okay. How many of you have made a feature film?
I worked on one.
Wait, Paul, what does that mean?
Oh yeah, so I guess I'll just say yes.
Okay, yes. Okay, that's a good answer. Yes. All right. How many of you have made more than one feature film? Oh, Paris, we know you've made lots of feature films. Marco, okay, Marco has already made multiple feature films. All right, lovely. All right, now, in order to get your film made, what do you think is the most important aspect of producing? Anybody? There's no right or wrong answer. So what do you think is the most?
Money.
Who was that? Was that Paris?
Well, that was Michael. I don't see my picture on the
I
screen.
see you. I see you, Michael. I see you. I can see you. Money. That's a good answer. Anything else? Anybody
Story.
else?
Story.
Story. Okay. What is the most important? What are the most important elements of producing a film?
Distribution plan.
Investors.
Oh, distribution.
Yeah,
I like that one.
distribution.
I like that one. Distribution, investors. I guess that's kind of the same as money, although there are other ways of bringing money, but
Top cast and marketing.
top cast, marketing. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. What else? What else?
What kind of producer? The senior producer, not just a line producer. You're talking about senior producer, correct?
I just said producer, so I
Yeah.
wonder what you might say.
It's different for both of those hats.
Yeah, I'm not counting line producers in that
All right.
question.
All right.
Anything else? Have we got it covered? All right.
Well, I would also
Distribution.
say a great team you can
yeah.
trust. So it's hard to do anything without that.
I second that.
Yes. I do think that it's incredibly important about distribution. And I think that it's incredibly important about money. So I just read this today. Somebody sent an email about producing and how producing is highly underrated, which I am very clear about. Producing is highly underrated. People think that all the other jobs are somehow creative and producing is not. I actually have a very different theory about that, but I think that the producer is the creative. The producer is the one who has the vision and who is the one who then implements that vision. And in this email, I read that creators know how to make, but not how to make happen. And I thought that was really great. Producers are the ones who know how to make happen. And without that making happen, there wouldn't be any films. You know, you can have somebody directing, you can have somebody acting, you can have somebody lighting, but the producer is the one who makes it happen. So tonight I am going to focus on something that I regularly teach, which is about how there are many different ways that you can raise money for your film. So we're gonna look at that. And first of all, I'd just like to tell you a couple of things about myself. As Emily gave me my sort of professional bio, and you can look at our website and see we have did we count it up today, Emily? Was it actually 25 feature films now? Yeah, so we have 25 feature films listed on my website that my clients now have in distribution. And by the end of 2025, we'll have another 15. So we'll be at about 40 feature films in distribution. And we have a space on the website for you to put your film next. And so we want to help you make your film happen. And I start all my clients on day one. We start talking about distribution. We start thinking about distribution. We start planning for distribution. I facilitate distribution for all my clients' films. So in a way, we sort of start at the end with distribution, and then we reverse engineer back to the beginning. When I have conversations with investors, they want to know about distribution. And so the money is contingent on the distribution, and the money is contingent on actually getting the film to get made, but ultimately to get distribution. There's no point in making the film if distribution doesn't happen, because otherwise it can't make any money. And it's been very interesting. Last week, I had a couple of very significant meetings about several of my clients' projects with different investor type people. And both of them said a very, very interesting thing, which was that my clients look different than everybody else. My clients look better prepared. My clients look better. Their materials are better. They are more ready for the investor conversation. And that's exactly what the plan was. That's what I was planning on doing. I was planning on making sure that my clients were ready for that investor conversation. And so it was just very gratifying to me. I had these 2 meetings on Thursday, and I heard it both from both of them, that my clients look different than everybody else. And so what is that that's going on? Well, one of the things is that we raise money, and we are never in a position where we're starting at zero. That's one thing that I like to do. We, as I said, we're always starting from the perspective of we have distribution in place. That's another big piece. And so when we come to the table with an investor, we have something to bring. And it's not like we're saying, oh, well, we need $3 million and we don't have anything. We have a script and we don't have anything else. So that's the way I think most filmmakers are talking to investors, and it's just not going to work. Even very, 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 very experienced filmmakers, I find, are doing that. They're talking to investors. They're sending them their scripts. They're just not presenting what it is that an investor needs to see, which is basically evidence of a business that's going to make money. That's what an investor wants to see. So today I'm going to show you a presentation that I did called 7 Types of Fundraising. And depending on where you are in your career, depending on what kind of film you're making, depending on a lot of factors, some of these ways of raising money are going to work better or not as well for you. And but it's really great to think in terms of, even if I'm making a film that has a $1 million budget, let's say, how can I bring some money in so that I have some money on the table when I have my first meeting with an investor? So even if you think I'm going to bring in the money from investors, you can do some work beforehand to bring some money in whatever way that could be. And I teach 7 types of fundraising. Actually, Emily, we're going to have to make it 8 now. We've got 8 ways of raising money now, so we have to add another one. But that we don't have that tonight. I'll have to do it another time. But so even if, as I said, even if you're thinking I'm going to investors, please look and see if there are some of these ways of raising money that you can have work for you. All right, so I'm going to share my screen. And actually, before I do that, I just want to say a couple of things about me personally. So one of the things we didn't talk about in my bio is that I used to run a cinema. I ran a cinema. It was a first-run cinema, and I used to run a film school. And so part of the reason that I spend so much time talking about business is because I ran a cinema. It was a first-run cinema. We reported all of our box office numbers into, so, you know, when you open the newspaper and it says such and such a movie made so many $1 million this week, it's because all the theaters report their numbers that came in over the weekend, and they report how many tickets they sold. So we were part of that ecosystem, and it's called First Run Cinemas. And so we were a first-run cinema, and we reported those numbers. And so I dealt with distributors. I was part of curating the films that we showed. We got, the distributors would send us films and hope that we would pick their film to show. And that's how I got to learn about the distribution side of the industry. I was running a cinema, so I got to learn about the exhibition side of the cinema. And I got to learn about dealing with the press, because we got reviews of our films, and we also did paid marketing, and we got free marketing because we were one of the most popular organizations in Miami. And I learned how to raise money. I learned how to raise money through grants, through donations, and through ticket sales. And one of the things that I have learned over time is that filmmakers are often very disconnected when they're writing or when they're thinking about directing. They're very disconnected from the end point, which is the sale of a ticket. And so part of what I always want to do is to help filmmakers make that connection. I'm writing this script in order to sell this ticket. I'm writing this script for this person who is my audience member. I'm writing this script, I'm making this film in order to sell this ticket to this audience member. And it's very, very difficult, I think, when, as I said, filmmakers know how to make, but not how to make happen. that it's very difficult for filmmakers to see this through line from there's a script at the beginning and there's a ticket sale at the end. But that is part of how the business works. And what I think that what I can really help filmmakers with is to connect with that audience member. Who is that audience member for your film? Who is that person who's going to buy that ticket? You know, how old are they? Do they read books? Do they like this genre? Do they like this period in history? Who is the audience for this film? And I find a lot of times filmmakers will say something like, well, you know, this film is for women. But how could we get more granular? How could we get more specific? I'm working with a marketing company called Growth Channel, and they can target so precisely who they market to, and we have to think like that as filmmakers. I like to make this joke, which is not a joke when it comes to Growth Channel, because they can do this, that they can market to African-American women who go to church on Thursdays, but not on Sundays. That's the level of precision that we can have with targeted marketing in this day's world, in this day's marketing world. So for the filmmaker, you also need to be thinking about, well, who is my audience? What kind of music do they listen to? What kind of places do they go to? What kind of environments do they hang out in? How can I put those in my film? And when I was running this cinema, I learned how to fundraise, and I started teaching filmmakers how to fundraise. And then I don't know if it was a mistake or not, but anyway, I left film for a while. I was like, no, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to go and get a real job. And I went off to San Francisco. I worked for the YMCA. I raised millions of dollars for the YMCA, for youth radio. And I was like, I'm going to put film behind me. And I ended up getting very, very ill. And I was ill for 7 years. I was too sick to work for 7 years. And during those 7 years, I was, you know, completely lost in the world. And I had no income. I had no family. And I would often ask God to tell me what to do. And I would say, you know, just tell me what to do, because I'm sure I'm not supposed to be laying in this bed. I had migraines all the time. I would have migraines for months and months on end. I was like, I'm sure I'm not supposed to be in this bed doing nothing. Tell me what to do. And once in a blue moon, I would hear God's voice saying, work with filmmakers. And I was like, no, anything but that. No, I know I already did that and it didn't work out. No. And then I just went back to my sick bed. And I tell this because I really, truly believe that my purpose on the planet is to work with filmmakers. It comes from a bit deeper place. I grew up with a lot of violence. My father physically strangled me. I thought he had killed me at one point. And so it ended up that I spent a lifetime trying to find my voice and trying to have my voice come into the world. You wouldn't notice it now. I can talk to anybody. But I spent a long time looking for that voice. And so the way I help filmmakers is I'm helping them to find their voice, but usually they already have their voice. They already have their script. They already know what their voice is. They already know who they are as artists, but they're not able to manifest that in the world. They're not able to alchemize that into the world, into a real film that actually gets distribution. And so somehow through my 7 years of whatever that was, wandering in the underworld, I have learned how to be able to do that, and I can help filmmakers do it. So I want to be able to help you do it as well. So anybody who would like to talk to me about working with me and becoming one of those filmmakers who has their film poster on my website, or one of those filmmakers who has a film in distribution, or one of those filmmakers who gets a yes from an investor, or one of those filmmakers who can raise money in a variety of different ways, please go on in the chat in my calendar and book a call with me. And we will talk about what we need to do to get your film out there. All right, now I'm going to share my screen. Okay, so now I think that fundraising is not easy, but I do think that it's important to look at all the different types of fundraising and really ask yourself the question, which ones work for you? And this doesn't necessarily mean that they wouldn't all work for you. If you can use all 7, even better, you know. But as I said, every film is different. Every filmmaker is different. Every filmmaker is at a different point in their career. And so certain things may be easier for you than others. I don't think fundraising is easy, but I think that there are certain ways that are easier for you than other ways. So, all right. So the first type of fundraising that I want to talk about is individual donors. Who can explain the difference between a donor and an investor? Somebody jump in.
A donor is someone who doesn't expect a return on their investment or some other kind of reason for the actual money being spent and given to you. An investor expects a return on their investment.
Beautifully said. I couldn't see who that was. Who spoke that?
Mark Holpack.
Oh, but you get the gold star, Mark.
Thank you.
So donors are giving because they want to give to a cause. So like here I am in my spiritual home. So I might give money to the cause of my spiritual practice, my spiritual home. Or donors want to give to the cause, which is you, the filmmaker. So donors often will give to you just because they want to support you. And that's very, very, very significant. Actually, Emily, can you put kashi.org in the website? I realize I keep talking about Kashi since I'm here. And I want to see everybody see what a beautiful place I'm at. So donors are motivated by the desire to give and make change in the world. So it's important to know when you're asking somebody to give a donation that you know what it is that's going to motivate them to give. I separate donors into 2 types. So small donors, we tend to these days, we tend to go to small donors through crowdfunding campaigns. It used to be that we did raffles, we did bake sales, we did all those kind of things. And you can still do those kind of things, you know. Let's say you're making a faith-based film and you are a member of a church, you know, maybe the church will allow you to run a raffle or something like that, or have a bake sale, literally have a bake sale. So there are other ways of going after small donors, but these days we tend to run crowdfunding campaigns. A lot of people are familiar with Kickstarter. We tend to use Indiegogo. We've used Seed and Spark. So there are lots of platforms that are good for crowdfunding campaigns. Now, I don't know why it is that I teach a class where I go through 7 types of fundraising, and then somebody says to me, oh yeah, Joanne only teaches crowdfunding. And I'm like, that's so weird. This is one way of raising money. Now, the fun thing about crowdfunding is I believe that crowdfunding is available for everyone. I have a client recently, she raised $20,000. We usually start my feature film clients at $20,000. And she literally describes herself as a recluse. She said, but Joanne, I'm a recluse. I don't know anybody. Well, as we went along, we discovered more and more and more people that she knew, you know. It was very, very interesting. And to this point, I've probably run about 50 crowdfunding campaigns with my clients over the years. So we know a lot about crowdfunding campaigns. And most people, most filmmakers who've tried crowdfunding have found it not very successful and grueling. Has anybody here tried crowdfunding? I can't see hands though. I can't see everybody. How do I see everybody? Do I do that? No, that didn't work either. Has anybody here? Paul has, Deborah has, Matt has, several people. Ricky has, oh yeah, digital hands, that works very well. That's great. So lots of you tried it. And were you successful in your crowdfunding campaigns? The people who raised their hands? Yes, no, maybe. Paul's
Yeah, one time, yes. Oh, sorry. The first time, no. I needed to raise 7,000. I only raised 2,500. Redid it. Raised the 2,500.
Great, great, great. Yes. Well, as I said, with my feature filmmakers, we start at 20,000. I've had a small number of clients raise more. I've had one raise 38,000, one raise 52,000, and two raise 67,000. Don't know what it is about that number. So we've had either 20 or 25,000. And then we've had a very small number raise more. And we don't do any kind of major, how do I say it? I call it low key. We do low key crowdfunding. And we take it very easy is the only way I know how to say it. Because I swear brutal is the word I hear the most often from filmmakers. And when we run a crowdfunding campaign with my clients, it is not brutal. So everybody in this room, whoever you are, can run a crowdfunding campaign. Would it be useful to you to be able to have $20,000 in your bank account in the space of 3 months? Would you be able to use that towards getting your film made? I would think that would be of some value. All right. So the second kind of fundraising, and I separate this because major donors are people that we communicate with on a one-to-one basis. So in the professional fundraising world, we think of fundraising as a pyramid. And at the bottom of the pyramid, where we have everybody who gives like $10 gifts or $25 gifts, those are our crowdfunding people, right? And we can deal with them in a certain way. But the higher up that we get, once we get from 25 to 100, 200, $500, $1,000, $5,000, $10,000, the higher up the pyramid, the fewer we have of those people. Does that make sense? That we may only have 2 or 3 $10,000 donors. I have a client who has probably 10 $25,000 donors. I have another client who has some $25,000 donors. But for each of us, we all have a different number that is a major donor for us, right? So for you, a major donor might be $500. A major donor might be $10,000. This is why I say every filmmaker is different, right? Every filmmaker is different. Every film is different. So what is a major donor for you is different from another filmmaker. And in the professional fundraising world, when we have a $25,000 donor or a $10,000 donor, we don't, send them an email and say, hey, will you give us some money? Will you give us some money? We invite them to lunch, or we take them out. I have a client, he has a major donor who's now got an executive producer credit on his on his documentary. And this donor just sent him a $500 gift card to one of the fanciest restaurants in town. And now he can use that gift card to take out donors to dinner at this fabulous restaurant. Right? So we don't treat major donors the same way that we treat small donors. And the larger the gift, the more time we spend with them. I have a client who's, way advanced, and he's probably on his 7th feature film or something like that. And we've started a campaign on LinkedIn. Actually, that's probably not correct. That's not major donors, that's foundations. We'll get to foundations. But anyway, so the most important thing to think about with major donors is one-to-one contact. So it's coffee, it's lunch, it's time on the phone, and it's about relationships. And the best fundraisers in this particular arena are really good with cultivating relationships. The language that we use in the professional fundraising world for this is stewardship, cultivation, and it's all about relationships, which is fabulous because you know what? Filmmaking is all about relationships. So if you're good at filmmaking, you're probably good at relationships. And if you're good at relationships, you're going to be good at major donors as well. So I was talking to this one client. We are completing a documentary for a $1.3 million budget. And he was meeting with a potential major donor. And I said, be sure when you talk to that major donor that you give him kind of a buffet of potential things to be giving to. We have this documentary, we have this series, we have our nonprofit, and the person basically chose our nonprofit work and our consulting work as the work that he wanted to get behind. And so when you have a major donor who's really at this sort of high level, then you want to think of them as a partner in your work. And he had all these ideas about, he wanted to take the consulting work here and there and going to this particular school and so it gives that person their own creativity that they can be involved in, right? The one I was saying about the gift card, that he now has a producer credit, or he now has an executive producer credit. He brought his brother on as a donor on the project. Now they're gonna, all visit together. So this is all about, as I said, stewardship and relationship building. Sorry, going off. And stewardship and cultivation and building relationships. And it takes time, but also, with these two brothers who are now, really major donors on this particular film, guess what? They're going to be involved in the next film. For sure, they're going to be involved in the next film from the get-go. All right, 3, foundations. I just was mentioning foundations. So foundations are entities that are set up to give money to provide community benefit. So you might have a rich person. Who might I think of? Oh, Bill Gates, right? So Bill Gates has the Bill Gates Foundation, the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, and the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation gives money to a variety of causes. So that's the most common type of foundation that you see. It's a wealthy person that has set up a foundation. If it has a big enough budget, they have a staff. And that staff is charged with finding the nonprofits to support. And usually with foundations, you have to be a nonprofit. You might be able to be a have a fiscal sponsor instead of starting your own nonprofit. I'd never recommend anyone starts their own nonprofit for a variety of reasons. But so foundations will have what's called a portfolio. So the portfolio might include helping the environment, education for women, and math in schools. I'm making it up, right? So, but each foundation will have its own portfolio that they work on, and they may very well have a program officer in the feeding the poor area, and another program officer in the educating women area, and another program officer in the other area, right? So the staff are set up to work in their particular specialty. And the foundation world is a really amazing world. With one of my clients, as I said, we started this LinkedIn campaign. We've literally been reaching out to foundation officers on LinkedIn and getting like $200,000 checks. So again, this is a very, 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 very advanced filmmaker, and who's well known in the field, and things like that. But it's an incredibly powerful source of fundraising. And what's also been happening over time is that a lot of times these foundations will get together to have even more impact. So they work together to be able to move forward their causes. And there's a lot of work being done now by foundations to support democracy, because apparently we're having some problems in that arena. So foundations could, if let's say you're a filmmaker who all their films are about the environment, then you're going to start getting to know foundations that give money to support climate change, or to support education around climate change, or to support a specific aspect. And as you grow as a filmmaker, you're going to deepen your relationships with these kind of funders. But foundations are very important to filmmakers. This $1.3 million documentary we have is almost entirely funded by foundations. So corporate sponsorship. Corporate sponsorship, I think of corporate sponsorship in two ways. One is that, ideally what a corporate sponsor, what a filmmaker imagines a corporate sponsor is somebody who's going to write a very, very big check. That's what we really want from a corporate sponsor. And we were looking today at, I did my podcast, which by the way is on Thursday. Who's my guest on Thursday? Oh, Michelle, my client from Puerto Rico. She just made a $1.7 million film in Puerto Rico. It just premiered at the Orense Film Festival in Spain. And she's going to be my guest on Thursday for my podcast. It starts at noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific. And I just talked to filmmakers about how they've built their careers. And for the rest of the year, I'm just interviewing my own clients. So you can see how we work together. Anyway, so corporate sponsors. So anyway, we were looking today at a podcast that I did, an interview with Jonathan Lear. And Jonathan Lear is Scarlett Johansson's producing partner. And Jonathan Lear came to one of my workshops, and it was so fabulous. He said, I said, well, why did you come to my workshop? And he said, well, I'm a producer, so I'm always looking to learn something new. And I just thought that was awesome. He just made a 7-8-figure budget movie with Scarlett Johansson, but he came to my workshop. That's amazing. That's amazing. And he was telling us that brands are working today often with celebrities. He works with a lot of really big celebrities, like Beyonce, kind of big. And he was saying that, you know, they'll work with a celebrity like Beyonce, and they don't even have a specific show or something like that. They just want to have their name associated. You will also find brands sponsoring. I have a friend, Paris knows, who is a producer on a YouTube show called Could Have Been House with the rapper Drewski. And they have corporate sponsors, and they have, you know, millions of views, and it's purely on YouTube. So corporations really are interested in media. They're interested in film. But the thing with corporate sponsorship is that you have to be able to show them that you have what's technically called in the industry eyeballs. What does the eyeballs mean? You know, a lot of times people will say something like, well, yes, you know, because I'm going to make a film of my book. And I'm like, well, how many books have you sold? And they'll say, well, maybe 100, you know. That's not going to interest a corporate sponsor. What a corporate sponsor wants is 100,000 or 1,000,000, or, you know. So corporate sponsors, if you imagine a corporation, what do I have here? Simply Grapefruit, all natural. That's not the name of the company, is it? I was trying to find a brand. Maybe it is Simply Grapefruit. Maybe it's called Simply Grapefruit. I don't know. Anyway, let's say this company was gonna sponsor our film because it was set in Florida or something like that. And what they would be doing would be going to their marketing budget, and their marketing budget, which they might spend on television, and they might spend it on radio, and, you know, or they might spend it on billboards. So they have this multi-million-dollar marketing ad, and what the filmmaker has to be able to show them is how it would be more beneficial for them to spend some of their marketing dollars, maybe $100,000 or $200,000, on the film instead of on their regular kind of marketing. And a filmmaker can really have a very, 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 very strong argument for that if they can, because corporations know that if they have a product in a film, or the film is related somehow to the product, that's a really cool way of marketing. It's much more powerful than just having ads on the television. When there's something where there's either a cause related or a story related, something like that. Ricky, did you have a question? Tanya?
Can you hear me with these on?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. It was somewhat towards that aspect of what you just said about corporate sponsorship. What if you like know that you have something that they market to because you did it purposely just for that, just specific, because you know they got something that you need. How do you go about that?
I'm sorry, I'm not fully understanding.
Okay. Just say, for instance, like a marketing thing that you know a certain corporation
Yeah.
offers, okay?
Right.
And you target that specific area that they give for. How would you go about that? Like,
Well, I think I was just about to get there, so maybe just
okay.
a second. I'm not sure, but so if I want to persuade Simply Grapefruit to put their product in my film, or, you know, use their marketing dollars on my film, the thing that I have to be able to show this company is how they are benefiting more by spending their marketing dollars on my film than on their, say, TV ads. And for most filmmakers who are starting out in their careers with their first features or so, we just cannot do that because we cannot show the eyeballs that corporation is going to need. We don't have distribution at a certain level. It's funny, actually. A friend of mine He's a casting agent, and he's involved in a film, and he sent me the contract that the distribution company gave them, because he said, you just got to see a contract like this. And in the contract, it says the film is going to open in 500 theaters. Okay, so if you have a film that's going to open in 500 theaters, do you think that a corporation might be interested in that? Yes, but most filmmakers at this point in their careers cannot show that to a corporation, except in the case of if you have a film that's going to go on PBS. And if you have a film, usually a documentary that's going to go on PBS, you can in fact show a corporation that you can have millions of viewers. So corporate sponsorship works really well for documentaries that are going to go on PBS. So that is a sort of special case. And I have clients who have corporations. In the PBS world, it's called underwriting. And underwriting is a very, 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 very important piece in the sponsorship world. The other thing, though, that filmmakers need to think about with corporate sponsorship is on a much smaller scale, which is if you are making a film in your small town, for example, and you can get the local restaurant to give you space or to provide you with food, or if you can get a location to give you their space so that you can use it, and maybe you put them in the credits, that kind of thing. You can really cross off a lot of the lines in your budget by getting things given to you by corporations. So it's another form of corporate sponsorship, but you can reduce your budget items that way.
That's it. That's the one I'm mostly talking about. That one right there.
Oh, okay. Great. All right. Special events. I think I have a chapter in my book on special events, and I say in my book, I'm the last person you want to talk to about special events, because I have so burned out on special events. I don't like special events, but there are some people who really do. So you probably, if you like special events, and this is where I say everybody is so different. I hate special events. Hate is a strong word. I hate special events. I hate special events. But some people love special events. And I am an extreme introvert. People who really love special events tend to be real extroverts. And for them, an event is a great idea, you know? So in the nonprofit fundraising world, you'll often see special events like a 5K race, or a show or a party or a gala, that kind of thing. For filmmakers, though, the one type of special event that I really do recommend is called a house party. And a house party is really another version of working with major donors. But a house party, there's a book by my mentor, Murray Warshawski, which is about house parties. Murray Warshawski also wrote a book called Shaking the Money Tree, which is kind of the Bible for documentary filmmaking, fundraising. But a house party is where you go to a friend who has a beautiful home, a rich person's home maybe, or the richest person you know, and you have them host an event for you, maybe a wine and cheese or something like that. And often the host will provide the wine and cheese, and they will invite their friends to come to an event about your film. And then if you read the book House Party, it's a very short book, but it tells you all different strategy around this. And then they invite their friends. And Maury Warshawski has done events like this where they've raised about $100,000 from people. And there are house parties all the time. This is a very standard way to raise money from donors. But it's a great one. And if you like throwing parties and you like being the hostess with the mostess, and if you like all of that kind of thing, then house parties could be a really good idea for you. It's about the only kind of special event that I approve of. And it can be great. All right, grants. So it's so funny. One time I was teaching this, and I was talking about grants, and halfway through somebody said, "Oh, you mean that there are grants for fiction films as well?" And I was like, yeah, there are grants for fiction films, for documentary films, there are grants for short films, there are grants for research and development for films, there are grants for production, there are grants for post-production, there are grants for distribution and impact, there are grants for all kinds of things. So, grants are, there's a huge range of grants, and you sort of have to get into, you have to like research. I have a client, we got a grant for $3.2 million from the National Science Foundation, which was rescinded by the Trump administration for being anti-DEI or something, anyway, whatever that was. So, but the National Science Foundation and the National Endowment for the Humanities are the largest grants that filmmakers get. The national, and I don't know really right now what's going on with the NEH. The National Science Foundation, I don't know what's going on with them either, but there are lots and lots and lots of much smaller, most filmmakers are not in a position where they're getting grants for $3.2 million. But the thing I like my clients to do is to start looking in their local area for local arts grants. And wherever you live, there are local arts grants. And usually, I think even with I live in Miami. Miami-Dade is one of the best funded places for the arts in the country. And we have a lot of grants for individual artists. We have grants for nonprofit organizations. We have foundations that focus on Miami. So we're a very, very well-funded place in the country. But I think that it's always good to start with the small local arts grants. And then one of the things that I always tell people to do, and nobody ever listens to me, but I'm going to say it anyway, is that you go and watch a grant panel actually do the deliberations. And nearly every, certainly any government grant, local, city, county, state grant is open to the public to be able to go and watch the grant deliberations. And you can learn so much from going and watching a grant process being done. I've served on grants panels. I've been the administrator of grants panels because I started out on the other side of the desk. I started out on the funding side of the desk. So I was the one who was administering the grants and giving out the grants to artists. And that's how I sort of got into fundraising, I guess. But there's always a local arts grant that you could apply for. It might be 5,000, it might be 10,000. When I was living in San Francisco, in Oakland, there was a $5,000 grant. And the thing is, with the arts grants, you can apply for that every year. You know, one year you might apply for it because you're in production on your film. And then the next year you might apply for it because you're in post-production, right? Or you might apply the next year because you're now in distribution and impact with your film. So you can apply every year. And I wish that I could get more of my clients to do this. Get a $5,000 grant, $10,000 grant every single year for whatever project you're working on, you know, and get known in that grant making pool. And here's my number 7, investors. So what I like for my clients to do is, before they think about, you know, which investors they're going to be speaking to, that they have some money in. So either they've run a crowdfunding campaign, or they've run a crowdfunding campaign, they have a little grant or something like that. So if we get 20,000, 20 or 25,000 for a crowdfunding campaign, it's a really good way to start the ball rolling. And it's not that investors are necessarily going to require. I even was talking to an investor the other day who didn't even want any other money in the project. So, you know, but I think it's a really good thing to, you know, actually get the ball rolling and get some money in. With investors, you have to really, really be ready. And as I said, that's how I help my clients. I help my clients be ready for investors. And so this is where I was saying that, you know, last week I happened to have 2 meetings, and both of them said to me, your clients are different. Your clients are ready. Your clients are prepared. And that's what we do. We have them be it's not only ready in terms of the business, but it's also ready kind of emotionally, I think, to have those conversations with investors and to be ready. I noticed that when my client is having a meeting with somebody, that they tend to come from a perspective of, okay, yes, I'll get you that. What else do you need? Let's, you know, there's always this kind of yes thing going on, whereas a lot of filmmakers will be kind of like, whoa, well, I don't know about that, you know. I don't know if I've had filmmakers tell me, well, Joanne, I can't tell you the title of my film because it's secret. Okay. So how are we going to get an investor? I had a client one time. Well, he was my client for about 5 minutes. He ended up not being my client. But he said he had a finished film. And I was like, okay, well, let's start, you know, talking about getting this. It wasn't 100% finished. It's like, let's talk about getting this film get out in distribution. And he's like, yeah, great, that's great, that's great. Because we were going to raise $20,000, I think, to get the film finished. And I said, so can you send me the film so I can see it? And he said, oh no, we can't let you see the film. I was like, what? He said, oh no, we don't want to show it to anyone because it might get stolen. I was like, what? But anyway, so yeah, he didn't end up being my client, but that kind of thing is not going to work with an investor, I'm afraid. So there's something it's partly being prepared with things like, you know, not only a script and a pitch deck and a budget and all of those things, but, you know, cast attachments, signed documents, balance statements, P&L, attorneys, accountants, you know, this whole thing. One of my classes that I have for my clients is called Community. And it's about the team that you have to build around your film. that is not necessarily like a DP and a first AD. It's an accountant and an entertainment lawyer. And when we get tax credits, an auditor, right? It's just all these things that have to be in place, and that investors are just going check, 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 check with all these things. So, all right. Well, that was my presentation on some of the different ways that you can raise money. I would like to ask if you have any questions in general, but also as you listen to this thing about all the different ways of fundraising, did any stand out to you and you thought, oh, you know what, maybe I could do that one? Did anything stand out?
For me, it did.
Who was that? Al?
Me, Ricky.
Oh, Ricky. Which one stood out?
my
Or
my my mind be going a million miles every day.
which stood
But
out for you?
I had the idea, but the corporate sponsorship with the small stuff and the event thing, because
At the
it's a
events.
small space. Yes, it's a
Yeah,
small little city, and you can gain a lot from this little small city by doing little things
right.
like that.
That's right.
So,
I
as
have a
well
whole
as
thing. I call it my small town strategy.
yeah, and the grant thing too, because they got an art department here that offers that now. So I'll be looking into a lot of stuff. Thank you.
Right. Great. Matt, what stood out for you?
Thanks for calling on me. There were actually, I would say, the same two ones for maybe slightly different reasons. When you were talking about corporate sponsorship, it really struck a note. When I was in film school, I took a whole course on branded content and that kind of thing. But I'm currently thinking about how to raise money to make a short film that deals with the subject of birth control. And I never even thought that there would be somebody who might be interested in that. But now that I think of it, if I can get I'm still casting the lead role. If I can get somebody who has a following, I might be able to convince like a condom company or a company that makes birth control drugs to be interested in funding us or to, have their product featured in the background of some of the shots. It is a horror film, so I think there's a little bit of, there's risk there.
Right, right.
Yeah. Anyways, that stood out. Also, the idea of doing a house party. A friend of mine, I'm in Montreal, and a friend of mine actually owns the house that the X-Men movies used as the X-Mansion. And because we're friends, I could probably use that as a good location to do a house party event. And I have musician friends that could play music for people, and we could do something like that to raise funds. So yeah, those two things stood out for me.
Fantastic. You're already planning your event. That's wonderful.
Yeah, cheers.
That's excellent. Al had the hand raised before, but then they went away.
Yes, thank you. You said there was an eighth a way to do that, to have fundraising at the beginning. Did you want to share that?
Aren't you very smart and observant? So I've started trading, and so we now once a month in my newsletter I write about trading, and I'm part of a trading community. And Emily and Innocent have now just joined that trading community, and so we're getting people. I have two more starting in January. So anybody who's interested in learning to trade, talk to me about that. So that's the eighth way of raising money that I've added to the list. I have to update my book and talk about trading. All right, Mick.
Thank you.
Is it Mick or Mickey?
Mickey.
Mickey.
Yes.
Mickey. You're from
Exactly,
Sweden
Mickey.
or something? Mickey.
That is from Sweden, absolutely.
Oh, I love accents.
Okay. Hopefully not too bad accent. I produced a short that we shot in April, and I basically tried to get grants. I tried crowdfunding, which got me a bit of the way, but we managed to get some corporate help by borrowing a cafe for 4 days for free
Yay!
to shoot in, which was the perfect location for the film. So
Right. And then are you going to credit the cafe and
absolutely,
them in the
and
film?
once it's finished and done its world premiere on festivals and all that, they'll absolutely get a copy as well, so they can run it in the cafe
Right,
whenever they want
right.
to.
Nice, nice. And where are you located?
I'm in Stockholm, Sweden.
So is it the middle of the night now?
It is the middle of the night. Yeah, it's 1:30.
You're a crazy person.
Yeah, I'm
What are
making
you doing
films.
up at me? I love it. I love it. So good to meet you.
Nice to meet you
Stockholm. That's impressive. We've got Stockholm. We've got Innocence in Nigeria. Emily's in Trinidad. Deborah is in Japan. We are doing well today. That's what I would say. All right, Dawson, what's your question? Or what stood out for you in the
Hey, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you, Joanne. Right. So the house parties got me. I thought that was a really cool idea. And now that I know that Matt's in Montreal, I'm going to hook up with you, I reckon, to do a house party because that sounds like fun. And I've got some thoughts on that as to a couple of communities that aren't doing much and look pretty bored, and I reckon they need some activity to spice it up.
make some Zumba
So
music for them?
I've been looking at it and going, you know what? There's nothing going on in this corner of the woods. So I think that would be a great idea. I like the
Can
donor
I,
ideas. That was really cool. Yep.
Yeah,
if I can
I
just,
mean, house parties are really a version of donors, right? It's like another version of donors. But it's just, I have it under special events because I do think that it works for a certain kind of person. And that person is not me, but there are people who would love that, love to throw a party, love to, as I said, you really want to have, so and so rich person have it at their house and have them invite their friends. That's really the key to that. But yeah, that sounds like a lot of fun. Good to see you, Dawson. Michael.
I think this is related. This is related to investors, but I
Okay.
think it's a unique element of the investor community. And how would you best approach this, which is venture capital, as opposed to going into individual investors and giving them a business plan, but would you structure the approach differently with venture capital firms?
Well,
And are there venture capital firms that specialize in cinema?
I don't know of those, if there are any. I personally would like one day to build a film fund. So I don't know what the difference would be between an individual investor, a venture capital company, a film fund, but all of this, I would say, comes under the same idea, which is we have to go to them with a business opportunity that is going to make sense to them.
A formal business plan,
Yeah.
basically.
This is Amherst. I'm sorry. Can I make a suggestion about the venture capital?
No, I just want to keep going here. So I just wanted to say that the most important part is about how that investor or venture capital company or whatever can make money. And
exactly.
So if let's say I go to somebody with a $3 million movie, but I was talking about Jonathan Leah, and Jonathan Leah, who is making films with Scarlett Johansson that have $100 million budgets, maybe somebody with a Scarlett Johansson movie with $100 million budget is going to be more attractive to a certain kind of venture capital fund or something like that. I mean, that last movie they had was funded by Apple TV, so they sort of have pretty deep pockets. But I think that all I'm saying is that to one person, a $3 million film might be interesting. Actually, we took a $600,000 film with 4 A-listers to an investor, and the investor said the budget was too small. And they said, we don't fund anything lower than $950,000. And I was like, okay, well, that didn't work. But it's unfortunate because the business plan for this film is so good. But, people have their levels of what works for them or what doesn't work for them, so. Was there a specific reason you were asking that question about venture capital? Do you know a venture capital company?
I've had experience. My prior life, I worked in hedge funds and finance. But got out of it too soon and had some nasty experiences in it. And that's what powers a lot of my writing.
Well, but that knowledge is so useful for this, right? That knowledge you have from those days. And we all learn from from failure as well as from success. So,
also, if you write a film that takes place, I've got one of my scripts, principal location is Amsterdam, the Netherlands. Dutch director, you can get access to the Netherlands Film Fund. And if you've got
necessarily a Dutch director either.
What's that?
You don't necessarily need a Dutch director either.
Well, I think you will because they're very skilled in
because the way that they do it, we just went through this with London, is that you score points. So if you and I went for as a team to London, I would score cultural points because I'm English. You would not. But then we would also
I lived in London for 1.5 years.
Well, we might get 1.5 points for that then. But so the way that they do it with these things is, but they're all the tax credits and so on are open to Americans, anyway. So
I'm not talking tax credits. I'm talking donations from the Netherlands Film Fund.
Yeah,
they put a lot of money into a production that's
absolutely. Yes. Well, I hope we get to talk soon, Michael. I want to hear more about your hedge fund experience. That's awesome.
It was over 30 years ago.
Okay, well, I'm sure you remember it well. Paris.
You were saying what I thought was exciting when you mentioned trading, and that's the first time I heard you mention that.
Really?
Oh yeah. I've always wanted to bring it up, but I didn't know that was taboo or not. So I kept it to myself as long as I've known you. Okay.
Are you a trader?
Well, I deal with crypto.
Okay.
And my lady dealt with crypto. She introduced me to it. And I've seen her make more money in one weekend than people make in years.
Fantastic.
I have friends of mine who are now crypto millionaires. So, but I never wanted to talk about it, bring it up. But since you did, I'm curious, do you deal with crypto at all? Just out of curiosity.
I make a massive crypto investment every day. I invest $1 in crypto every single day. Massive investor, I am. Massive crypto investor.
Is XRP one of those?
Well, XRP is
You better believe it. All right. All right.
But I trade every day, and I trade in a community, and I love it. And as I said, Emily and Innocent are now trading, so we're a trading group now.
And I'm so glad you're doing that, because if done correctly and you ride the wave, you can have that film fund with no problem. So I'm really curious to see what happens, since I now know you know.
That's awesome. Thanks for bringing it up. All right. Matt, again, or did you raise your hand again?
I did, actually. I just wanted to make sure that I made contact with Dawson. If we're in the same city, I think it's a great idea to connect. So
we'll connect you. Email me and I'll connect you.
Thank you very much. Okay, cheers.
Paul. Oh, I just did something wrong, Emily. Can you find Paul for me?
Sorry, I was muted. Thank you so much for writing all of that long list of types of areas that we can go into. So I guess I'm still at such the beginning stages. So I'll just freely say it that I've already copyrighted it with the U.S. patent and Writers Guild. So I'm making the first biopic of Billy Haynes, the very first openly gay film star in Hollywood. So I tried going right to the source
it
of like the
already.
foundation. I'm sorry?
I like it already.
Oh, thanks. But it's such a big caliber type of film that I've never done before. Like you heard before, that crowdfunding I did was back in like 2010. So that was like a very little number. So I'm looking at more than $1 million. And so I thought about going to like the Pacific Design Center where they still make his furniture. I've tried reaching out to like a foundation,
So he was
but they don't
making
have one.
furniture as well as being a film star?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I was admiring that piece that you have behind you there with is that real or is that a photo behind you? Is that a TV? Yeah. That credenza thing.
Oh, that's just something I found on Craigslist, and then I put a top
I
on
love
it.
it. I love it
Thanks.
though.
Yeah, so I was told by a lot of people like don't reach out to Ryan Murphy because he might like manipulate it the way he wants. So I'm going off the route and going, okay, I'm gonna try and raise everything myself.
Ryan
And
Murphy do gay content?
I'm sorry?
Does Ryan Murphy make gay content?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and adjacent. The thing is that he'll probably take it over. So my goal is not to sell the screenplay, but to actually make the film. And
So why do you need Ryan Murphy?
Because he's made other things that have kind of involved Billy Haynes. But the good news is, no one's ever made a film about him. There's only been one documentary and one book. So I have something so unique, but I tell people about it, everyone's interested, but then like it just kind of fizzles from there.
Well, because this is what I read at the beginning. Filmmakers know how to make, but not how to make happen, right? So the piece from, well, I have a script, right, which is copyrighted, to I have a business. There's a development that needs to take place that goes between the script to the business. Because when you are having that conversation with an investor, you want to be able to talk about the business. The script is almost like neither here nor there. You've already told me enough about it for me to know it's great. It's great. I already know that. I don't need to read the script, which sounds weird, but it's not about that for investors. They're not going to read the script. They don't assume that they would know what they were reading. Right, but you've told me enough information to know that this is an interesting project, right? So you need, I shouldn't say just, I work with my clients for a minimum of 3 months. It takes 3 months to put all of those pieces into place so that you can have those conversations with investors and so that you can actually be able to show them the business that you have. So we stop talking about this is going to cost $1 million and start talking about how much it's going to make, right?
And I guess as a side note, do you recommend someone's trying to self-fund it themselves and try to take it on, or to hire someone else who's just a producer who's done this for so many years and kind of cultivate that so that they can hit the ground running instead of someone like myself who's like, well, I've never really grown this on my own?
I don't think you mean self-fund. I don't think you mean that. Do you mean you could go and take $1 million out of your bank account and make your movie?
Well, no, of course not. I would
Well,
only
you might. I don't know.
I would only invest
Look
like
at the credenza. It's great credenza. Maybe you have $1 million.
No, I vowed I wouldn't put any more money into my films because I've made so many short films and I haven't gotten any return on investment. So
because you never could have got any return on investment, right? You could never have got any return on investment on those films, right? This is a different thing. Now with a feature, you are entering the business of film. right? And so what we would do, if you were my client, we would start from the perspective of, we are now in business. We're going to go from getting distribution, that's where the money is made, and then we start from there. So it's no longer about, it is about the creator, because interestingly enough, I feel as though what I see with all my clients is as we work on the business, the creative gets better. I don't know why that is, but it does. And I think it's just something to do with being in the real world, being in reality, something like that. Something like that. But the work gets better, the film improves, all of that stuff. So it's really yeah, no, we should definitely talk, Paul, because that sounds great. And there's just a gap between that script and that business. And there's just pieces that it'll take to put in place, but it's, you know, yeah, so you don't mean self-fund. And then I taught a workshop a few months ago called I Need a Producer. And it was really about this idea that people think, well, I've got to find somebody who knows how to raise money, who's going to do this thing. And I don't believe in that either. I don't believe in it. And not necessarily because, I mean, even when you're making your first film, it's just less likely that you're going to find somebody who will come on board to do that. And it's much better if you do it yourself. And now you know how to do it, and then you can make another film. Right? Awesome.
I'm putting you in my calendar.
That's right. Excellent. Excellent. Lovely to meet you. Deborah, did I see you with your hand up? No.
You just gave me, you just reminded me how a lot of things that approaches that I could take. I used to make a lot of money. I used to do theater and film together, and I got great. Sorry, you know, because you know what I went through. I went through some rough times. Things are getting better. So you just inspired me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Good. That was the plan. So good to see you in person. Anybody else have any questions? We are 1 minute over. There's so many people I didn't get to speak to. Mark Kolpak, Eddie Beverly. Who else did I not get to speak to? Marco started out all chatty and then got quiet.
I had to take a phone call. I had to take a phone call. Sorry.
Oh, okay.
Well, I signed up. I signed up to talk to you online.
Oh, good. Excellent.
And I have a call with you as well on
Who was
Wednesday.
that? Who was
Mark
that?
Kolpak.
Mark. Oh, great. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, we just met via email, right?
Correct.
You and I?
Yeah.
Yes. Deepak. I wonder where Deepak is. Deepak might be somewhere exciting. L. Edwards, Sarah, Amaris, Rafa, I didn't speak to. So I hope if you had any questions that you have had them answered. As I said, mostly I tend to, when I teach, I tend to teach about all the different types of fundraising. And because I'm not so much somebody who wants you to think about this particular type of fundraising. I want you to think about all the possibilities, right? All the possibilities. And when you look at that budget, you know, whether it's $100,000, whether it's $1 million, whatever that budget is, you know, what is it in that budget that you can get removed from the budget because you got that a donation of a location, or you got I had a client one time raise very little money, and he had a DP who came and brought $175,000 worth of equipment with him, right? So, you know, what is it that you can get off your budget because you can get it given to you? When Emily read my bio at the beginning and I put together this Florida feature film competition, you know, we had a prize where the filmmaker got $25,000 cash and $175,000 worth of goods and services. And those $175,000 worth of goods and services were a casting agent, an entertainment lawyer, a post-production house, a sound mixer, you know, all these different things on a budget. And I just put everything together to make that film. So all of that you can get for free, that is called producing. That's what producing is, you know. Get shit for free equals producing. So David Hinders. I haven't actually ever seen you in person before.
I know. I tried to make sure I had the camera this time.
Excellent, excellent. Good to see you. It's fun when you know somebody on the phone and then you get to actually see them.
Yes, yes.
Good to see you. So if we don't have any more questions, we're just about exactly on time. And so good to meet you all. I hope you've been inspired to go out and get some money to make your film. And I hope to talk to you all. I think Emily, thank you so much, Emily and Innocent. Emily put my calendar in the chat so you can book a time to talk to me. And if you don't find something that works for you, just email us and Innocent will find a time for you. Okay, so, all right, well, everybody's being so quiet and so well behaved. All right. Bye.
Would you like it to be the opposite?
Well, who is that? That's
That was
Mark.
me.
Oh, that was Michael. Well, I'm going to say goodnight since everybody's being so well behaved and so quiet.
お疲れ様、ありがとうございました。
Oh, arigato.
Thank you so much.
どういたしました。
That was great.
Thank you, Joanne.
Oh, that's great. That was great.
じゃあこれからよろしくお願いいたします。どうも。
Wonderful. Thanks everybody for coming. Thank you. Bye, y'all. Good night or good morning, Deborah. Good night, everybody.